each mixed number as a fraction. Remember to do that, you take the denominator, you multiply it by the big number, and then you add the numerator. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 7 over 3. You just keep that denominator. Here, 10 times 3 is 30, plus 3 is 33 tenths. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24. 8 times 7 is 56. 56 plus 7 is 63. 63 eighths. And the last one, 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36 over 7. So why are we practicing writing as improper fractions? Because today we're multiplying and dividing fractions. And in order to do that, you have to have them as improper fractions. Because we're going to be using reciprocals today. And you can't do a reciprocal with a mixed number. So find 3/7 times 4/5. Simplify if possible. 3 over 7 times 4 over 5. Multiplying is probably the easiest thing you could do with fractions because you just multiply across the numerator, across the denominator, and then you can see if you can simplify at the end. Or what I prefer is see if you can simplify early, which is what we'll do actually on example 2. So 3 times 4 is 12. 7 times 5 is 35. Is there anything that 12 and 35 have in common except for 1? No. So that would be our final answer on that. See, not bad, huh? Hey, this means multiplication. If it's parentheses, they're mushed up next to each other, it means they're being multiplied. So 2 times 1 up top is 2. 5 times 3 is 15. All right. Hey, you have a negative times a positive. What's going to happen here? It's going to be negative. So negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. 6 times 3 is 18. Those are both divisible by 2. So negative 5 ninths. In the numerator, 7 times 5 is 35. 8 times 9 is 72. They don't have anything in common except for 1. So that would be your final answer. And here you have a negative times negative. That's just going to change to positive, right? Negative times negative is positive. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 8 is 32. Can't simplify anymore. All right, now here is where we are going to simplify before we multiply. And it'll save you so much time and effort. You can simplify a numerator and denominator. You can even simplify one numerator for a different denominator when it's being multiplied. So do you see how we have times 9 up here and times 9 down there? We can divide those both by 9. 9 goes into 9 one time, 9 goes into 9 one time. Now we're automatically dealing with smaller numbers. We can do the same with the 5 and 15. 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 15 3 times. Now, in the numerator, we have 1 times 1, that's 1. On the denominator, we have 3 times 1, which is 3. Then you don't even have to think about it. 9 times 5 is 45. 15 times 9 is 135. It'll still reduce to 1/3, but these are larger numbers, and then you have to do, honestly, more math. And I know you're trying to avoid doing as much mathematics as possible. All right, simplify early. It's easier for you. Y over 4, 8 and 11. Do you see anything that we can simplify, even if it's diagonal? The 4 and the 8. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 2 times. Y times 2, we write as 2y. Denominator, 1 times 11 is 11. It's better than having 8y over 44 and then reducing that. So try to simplify early if you can think about it. Like on A here. We see the 3, we see the 6. Even if they're from different fractions, if they're being multiplied, you could think of this as like, we're doing 2 times 6, and we're dividing it by 3 times 7. So if it helps, mush it into one fraction. and then break it down. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice. 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 7 is 7. There you go, that's cool. Here, what do you see? 5 and 15, sure. Or 5 and 25. Let's do 5 and 25. And don't forget about this negative here. We know we have a negative times a positive, so we know our answer will be negative. 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 25 5 times. How about 15 and 21? Those are both divisible by 3. 3 goes into 15 5 times, 3 goes into 21 7 times. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. 5 times 5 is 25. See if you can simplify it. You cannot. 2x over 9 times 3 over 4. So even though the 2 has an x with it, it doesn't make a difference. We can simplify the 2 and the 4. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 2 times. Also, 3 goes into 9 3 times. So in the numerator, we have 1x times 1, which is just x. Denominator, we have 3 times 2 is 6. Great. Fantastic. Central Park in New York City is a rectangle. It's approximately 2.5 miles long and 1/2 mile wide. What is the area of Central Park? So remember, area of a rectangle, you just multiply the length and the width. So we're doing 2.5 times 1/2. Now we're bringing in the mixed numbers. When doing multiplication and division with mixed numbers, you have to turn them improper. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we have 5.5 times 1/2. If we multiply across the numerator, 5 times 1 is 5, 2 times 2 is 4. So we have 5/4 square miles. Right? We did miles times miles. Area is that unit squared. Now, they gave us mixed numbers in the original problem. So we're going to give them an answer as a mixed number. How many times can 4 go into 5? Once. And then there'd be 1 left over. So 1 and 1/4. 1 1/4 square miles. Here we go. Here we go. Welcome to the show. 3 3/4 times 2/5. You got to go in proper. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15. 15/4 times 2/5. Let's simplify now. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 2 goes into 4 twice. So up top, 3 times 1 is 3. The bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. But we're good. We're given mixed numbers, so we're going to turn this back into a mixed number. 2 goes into 3 one time, with 1 left over. 1.5. All right, 2/3 times 1 and 2/7. 2 over 3 times 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 9/7. Anything to simplify? Does 2 have anything in common with 3 or 7? No. Does 9? Yeah, 9 and 3. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 9 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 7 is 7. You can't go mixed number. It's not bigger than 1. All right, here we go. Now, don't worry about the negative now. You know that negative times a positive is going to give you a negative result. But some people will say 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, plus 5 is negative 7. No. You do all the improper stuff first, and then you make it negative at the end. So 6 times 2 is 12, plus 5 is 17. So this would be negative 17 over 6, times 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. 6 and 8 have something in common. They're both divisible by 2. 5 and 17 don't have anything in common, so there's nothing else we can simplify. Negative 17 times 4 is negative 68. 3 times 5 is 15. Now, how many 15s can go into 68? Think of a clock. 15 minutes. There's 4 15-minute chunks in 60 minutes. So I know that 15 can go into 68 4 times. 4 times 15 is 60, so we'd have 8 leftovers. -4 and 8/15. Now division. So there is a common phrase of when you're dividing fractions, you keep, change, flip. Meaning you don't change the first fraction, you change the division to multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction. Now the mathy word for that is the reciprocal. Reciprocal means you invert the fraction, you make it upside down. So for 2/9 divided by 2/5, we're doing 2/9 times 5/2. Simplify first. 2 and 2. Do 5 and 9 have anything in common? No. So up top, 1 times 5 is 5. 9 times 1 is 9. That's it. Keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, flip the second fraction, and then you're doing a multiplication problem. Keep it, change it, flip it. X and X can cancel out. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. Now, they gave us improper fractions because there was no possible way to make that mixed. So you could give me 4/3, that would be cool. Or 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over. So either one of those answers would be cool on a problem like this. -1/4 divided by 1/2. Keep it, change it, flip it. 2 goes into 4 2 times. -1 times 1 is -1. 2 times 1 is 2. So we end up with -1/2. Keep it, change it, flip it. Do they have anything we can simplify? 5 doesn't have anything in common with 2 or 8, and neither does 3, so we can't simplify. 5a times 3 is 15a. 8 times 2 is 16. Great. That wasn't too bad. Keep it, change it, and flip it. 7/7. What? Make those ones. 3b and 6 are both divisible by 3. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So up top, we have 1b times 1. That's 1b. Denominator 1 times 2 is 2. So this does get a little trickier when you're doing division, because you got to turn them improper first. Division of mixed numbers. So 1 3/4 divided by -2 and 5/8. 1 3/4. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Change it to multiplication. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 is 21. Sorry, I shouldn't have changed it to multiplication yet. First, turn it into an improper fraction. And then we're going to do the keep, change, flip. So keep 7/4, change it to multiplication, flip this over. Now, you're not going to want to write the -21 on the bottom. Just write 21 down there and keep the negative up top. Usually, for negative fractions, the negative sign is in the numerator. So see if we can simplify. Sure. 7 goes into 21 3 times. 4 goes into 8 2 times. So we have 1 times -2 is -2. 1 times 3 is 3. -2/3. Turn it improper. Keep, change, flip. And then do your thing. All right. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 4/3 divided by 5/6. Keep it, change it, flip it. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 5 is 5. We're turning it back into a mixed number. 5 goes into 8 one time with 3 leftovers. Okay, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8, so -8/5 divided by 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Keep it, change it, flip it. 5 and 5, shoo, shoo. 6 and 8 are both even. 3, 4. So we end up with negative 4/3, which is negative 1 1/3. Last one. 12 and a half. 2 times 12 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Keep it. Change it. Flip it. 5 goes in 25 5 times. That's all we can do. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 1 is 2. How many 2's go into 15? 7. Because that would give you 14. And then you got 1 left over. 7 and a half. We did it. We did it! Yes!